Thank you so much for chatting with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We'll start with the movie, Shock and Awe, that's out. I wanted to ask you, why release the movie when the Iraq War happened in many Americans' minds so long ago?
Well, I've been trying for 15 years to figure out a way to tell this story because I was of draft age during the Vietnam War, and I never thought in my lifetime that we would be invading a foreign country based on lies.
Yeah.
And I saw that happening even in the run-up to the war in Iraq. And so I wanted to tell the story right away, and I didn't quite know how to approach it. First I approached it as a satire, because it was so wild, and I had like a Dr. Strangelove kind of thing, and I couldn't get a script that I liked, and then I looked at the possibility of maybe doing it dramatically, and I couldn't get that right. And then many years later, I saw this documentary by Bill Moyers about these 4 journalists who were from Knight Ridder, and they got it right. And I said, that's the way in.
And there's a message about journalism in that movie, too.
Yes, it's really all about journalism. There's 2 things. One is we open with a Bill Moyers quote, which basically says that a democracy cannot survive without a free and independent press. And the other one is said by the character I play in the film, where he says to his journalist, he says, if the government says something, you have only one question to ask: is it true?
And so if you look at the sort of genre right now, it seems journalism movies are kind of hot. You have you have Spotlight, you have the New York Times thing on HBO, The Fourth Estate. I mean, is this an important message about the state of journalism right now?
I think it is, because right now journalism is under attack. We see the President of the United States calling it the enemy of the people, fake news. And this is a story about 4 guys who are trying to get the truth out, and how difficult it is to get the truth out when there are incredible headwinds. And that's what journalists are facing right now.
And that brings us to this next point. We're seeing the President of the United States attacking Canada's Prime Minister. I wanted to get your take on how you read into that.
Well, it's awful. It's awful. I mean, Canada is, we share a long, long border with Canada. There's no fences, no walls, there's no military. We have the best relationship with Canada, and then all the other members of the G7. These are our allies. These are Americans' allies. They've been our allies forever. And for him to denigrate our allies at the same time that he's cozying up to authoritarians like Putin and Erdogan and Duterte, and now with Kim Jong-un, it's pretty disturbing for us who care, for those of us who care about democracy, and hopefully the democracy will survive.
So his supporters would say, well, here's Reiner, a coastal elite like Robert De Niro, that's only helping embolden Trump supporters.
Well, I'm not saying the F word. I'm not going to say that. I think that kind of thing does embolden Trump supporters. And listen, people have a view of me. They call me all kinds of names on my Twitter feed, and it's pretty bad. But I'm just trying to do I'm trying to get to the truth, and to hold a president accountable for the things he's doing. And now, I don't agree with his policies, but I also don't like the fact that he is denigrating a pillar of democracy, which is a free and independent media.
So where do we go from here?
All we can do is keep trying to get the truth out. It's difficult because at the time of the Iraq War, the headwinds was patriotism. People were wrapped up in patriotism. They didn't want to go against the administration. We screened this film in Zurich, and in Zurich, and it was like standing ovation, because people outside of America realized there was no reason to go to war. There was no basis, there was no rationale. Right now, the mainstream media is facing a different kind of headwinds, where you're called, like I say, fake news and all that. You just have to keep at it. You have to keep trying to hold power accountable and keep trying to get the truth out. Hopefully, it will penetrate the people who are getting their information from only one direction.
And you made a few references in the film, your character did. So contrast that to today. I mean, how should the media act, and what role should it play in this age of Trump? And you have all these different sort of outlets. You have the Breitbarts and the Fox News versus the Press Progress versus the MSNBC.
Yeah, well, you can't, you have to get to the truth. That's the goal. And if there is an agenda that a particular outlet has, and they want to be supportive of the president, that's okay, but those literally fair and balanced, looking at the truth of something, have to get to those truths, and hopefully it breaks through. And then it's the ballot box. I mean, if you don't like what he's doing, then you vote the way that you feel that will best make it so that the country will move in the direction you want it to. But I'm worried about democracy at this point. I'm worried.
What do you mean?
Well, the institutions of democracy are being worn down. I mean, Trump didn't create the divide in the country, but he's certainly exploiting it. And so are foreign powers. The Russians are exploiting that divide. So you see the erosion of the free press. You see the erosion of the checks and balances. We don't have them anymore in the Congress. And you see attacks on law enforcement, the rule of law, and the FBI and the intelligence community. If these things erode much further, you can understand how a Malaysian airliner can be downed, and that 80% of Russians believe it wasn't the Russians.
So what's the solution then?
Just keep at it. Keep hammering away and get to the truth. Try to get to the truth. That's all you can do.
I wanted to look at, you mentioned the ballot box, looking ahead to 2020. Who's out there who could challenge Trump, you think?
I think there are a lot of people. I'm hoping that, by the time we get to 2020, that people will start to see Trump for who he really is. I mean, he's a great salesman in terms of how he sells himself. He's a great self-promoter. He's probably better at that than anybody that's ever lived. But I don't think he has a large sphere of concern for the rest of the world. And so hopefully that we will see not just whether or not we disagree or agree with his policies, but who he is as a person and how every decision he makes is funneled through his own self-interest. And if we can understand that and get that idea out to the public, I think maybe people will think differently.
There's been suggestions that perhaps people saw where we are today, way back in the early 70s, for a show you're familiar with, All in the Family, and their lead character, Archie Bunker. Do you think Archie Bunker was the original Trump supporter?
Definitely. I mean, he would have voted for Trump. He might not have liked some of the things he has said, because, I mean, as un-PC as he was, he didn't like grab them by the you-know-what and those kind of things. But he would have definitely voted for Trump, no question.
And then we saw Roseanne, the reboot from the 80s into today. Wanted to get your sense. Does that sort of aspect of middle America, first of all, I wanted to get your reaction to what happened to Roseanne, and if that show could still exist today. Well,
I think a red state, blue state show can exist. You have both points of view. The trick with Roseanne, and what was difficult, is that she was in line with those ideas outside the show, and so it wasn't what she said in the show, it's what she said as herself, as tweeting out certain things that became very problematic for ABC, and I knew they were going to have that problem.
If there's a movie on the Trump presidency, and assuming that you want to put it together, who plays Trump, who plays Trudeau?
I don't know. I don't want to get into that, because the movie, the really great movie that'll be made about it, it'll be a movie that you won't even imagine at this point, because the obvious stuff is the satire of it and all. And I think there's something much more, much deeper than what happened to America, and then that we'll see who.
I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you very much.